The American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank you. Me too. Me too.
You know? You know? You
This bitch is straight up gonna steal the White House just like George W. Bush did in 2000, and we're all watching it. It's like some creepy foreshadowing to our future. We need to figure out what the fuck is going on. So, to catch everybody up to speed, if you've been paying attention, during the New Hampshire primary, Bernie Sanders delivered a crushing blow by receiving 60% of the popular vote, leaving him with 13 of the 24 delegates already decided in Sanders' favor. Clinton has already received 9 of the delegates, and 2 are undecided as of yet. So, potentially Bernie could win 2 more. However, it isn't really that good of news for the Sanders campaign, as information is leaking out about how the superdelegates have already all decided their votes and heavily favor Clinton's campaign. So let's break this down a little bit better. So a candidate, in order to receive the nomination, needs to receive the most delegates. There's a total of 4,763 delegates that are available, but a candidate only needs a little more than half of that, with 2,382. Once they reach that, they claim the nomination. So first come, first serve kind of thing. Anyway, Bernie Sanders, as of right now, only has 42 delegates promised to his campaign, with some of the primaries done and then some promised. But if you look over at the Clinton campaign, she has 394 delegates, which sounds impressive. However, not many of those have been won. In fact, 360 of them are the superdelegates who already promised to promote Hillary Clinton's campaign, and the problems that stem from there are severe and rampant. Because what we're learning about the superdelegates is basically they're people who held political office in the past, such as governors, mayors, senators, stuff like that, who can be bought and paid for. Also, if they have interest in their career aligning parallel with Hillary's campaign in the future and her securing a presidential nom, then they could potentially be impacting their future for the better, all playing into interests. Now, where this is affecting us, the voters, is that superdelegates, their vote equally counts for a whole delegate of the common people. Our vote is literally equal to just one superdelegate vote. That's so awful, because honestly, they can help sway where this election would go. It's already been proven with Iowa and New Hampshire that Bernie Sanders is winning amongst the popular vote. However, this election is going to be handed to Hillary Clinton. I've been worried about this for months and months, thinking there's no way the American people can be duped into another 2000 Bush fiasco. But it's happening right in front of our eyes, and I'm probably a fool to think it hasn't happened every 4 years. Whoever they need in that chair is going to take the chair, and Hillary Clinton has been promised that White House position. Make no mistakes about this. There is not a single Republican candidate running that will stop the Hillary Clinton campaign. This is a race that equally comes down to Hillary Clinton's bought and paid for cronies, Trump's no-nonsense racial homophobic epithets towards minority groups that are awful and fueling hate, and this country is building and building on it, or Bernie Sanders, who is really starting a grassroots campaign for the people, and how everybody doesn't see him as the only sane option is beyond me. But to each their own, except that's the problem. When you tell somebody to mind their business or vote however they want, Yeah, that's good sound advice in theory. However, if I just went my way and you went yours, and then for the next 4 years I have to be under a militant regime of a closeted lesbian war hawk funded by Saudi Arabian money, one of the most bloodiest and Sharia law abiding Arab nations, and yet she gives sanctions to bomb Yemen, the poorest Arab nation, and we're not questioning her due diligence. I mean, honestly, she would be the leader of the free world, and she is funded by terrorist groups. If that's not something that people are willing to talk about, then how dare they be able to vote? I'm sorry if you think me questioning your candidate or speaking loudly on behalf of mine makes me a Bernie Sanders nut or the Bernie bro. I don't even understand how these are criticisms. The only bad things that people have to say about Bernie is that he's too old to be president, which is absolutely insane because half the country is supporting Trump, who's only like 4 years younger. Or that he can't be understood because his Brooklyn accent, which I'm sorry, but if you're trying to argue that stance in any way, shape, or form, it doesn't make any sense because he is connecting to a majority of the people. So obviously the people resonate with somebody with a Brooklyn accent. And then the only other problem is that he's a socialist, which many people just do not understand what socialism is. It's actually a government for and supported by the people, in whole. That's why you have things like Social Security, and it funds roads and hospitals. Social things are planned via socialism, and a lot of people are being scared off like it's the new communism. Any form of government has its pros and its cons. I'm sorry, but if you don't see the cons of democracy, maybe you just need to look up some information online about Middle East and how exactly democracy is working for them, because it isn't. So maybe not every country needs to be a democracy, and maybe we need to start understanding what forms of government do and mean, because honestly, if we're gonna mudsling that Bernie Sanders is too much of a socialist, why don't we just get rid of socially funded programs altogether? If you're going to sit and shit on the fact that people on welfare or EBT are sponging the country dry of money, maybe you need a lesson in just how much Wall Street and big business and corporations are really draining this economy. Honestly, I think the thing that really shocks me more than anything is how there are still people supporting Hillary Clinton. And not even just that, but how people I've respected with their political views and their open minds and these theologians who are really talking about in-depth issues still supporting her, when you're basically watching her steal the election. You are seeing it be bought and paid for. You are seeing that her big campaign contributions are coming from banks and big corporations, and you're seeing that Sanders is coming from the people. You're seeing that Hillary Clinton isn't winning the primaries, and yet they're being given to her via coin flips or superdelegates, and Bernie's actually winning them. It's really weird to me to see people being duped so easily, and I guess I'm just more nervous to watch where the American voter's mind melts away to next. Exactly how easy are we to control, and is this something part of a greater issue? Do we really need to stop and think why nobody can critically think about things that are being presented right in front of them? I mean, is that the bigger issue at hand here? Because it almost feels like we're dealing with candidates here who are really good at misdirection, kind of doing the sleight of hand to get you to look somewhere else while they're doing it over here. I mean, the fact that a lot of these candidates can just laugh off our questions rather than attacking them head on, that's frightening, isn't it? You know, other countries or the press, media, us as a people, we can act as a Trump sometimes when we highly criticize or hold people accountable. So we do need to watch Trump and his crazy racist rants and his homophobia and all of his nutso bananas ideas. Like, he can't be president. This is insane. However, he might be the best thing for the Bernie Sanders campaign, making everything else look like a fucking clown car. Like, none of this stuff makes sense. I feel bad that kids have to grow up seeing these as politics, because at least when we grew up, it was a structured, hidden agenda. I mean, this shit's all right in front of our face, and kids have to grow up and see how dumb society is. That sucks for you guys. One of the main contributors to this alarming problem, with Hillary Clinton receiving all the notoriety in the world from the DNC, with Bernie Sanders getting absolutely shit on, is the one who's running the DNC, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. This woman needs to be fired, and her credibility needs to seriously be questioned. She has been caught on camera literally promoting the Hillary Clinton campaign, which she is supposed to be unbiased as head of the DNC chair, and coincidentally enough, she was co-chair during the Clinton campaign of '08. To me, that seems like a huge conflict of interest, along with the fact that she's gone on camera denouncing the Sanders campaign, saying that he's just a lot of bluster and bravado, speaking to him as though he can't be considered a candidate to run the country. This is somebody who's supposed to be unbiased, and she has a superdelegate. Just take a guess where she has promised her superdelegate vote to go. Honestly, this election is being rigged. The American people are being duped, and this country is being bought and paid for. The fact that so many are promoting feminism and girl power for a woman to finally take the White House, and yet not seeing her war hawkish ways, or the fact that her ideals are going to be corporately funded, and absolutely no progress is going to be made in the next 4 years if you decide to vote for Clinton. I don't feel strongly about politics. I actually am a huge promoter of not voting because I think if the people started to realize that if the vote actually mattered, it would not be left in the hands of the American people. If we, the people, had a voice that was strong enough to actually decide who was going to be the leader of the free world, it would be illegal to vote. And I do feel that way because all the corruption traces back to the people with money. And if you look back to their interests, it absolutely does not align with giving the people the power, because the more power we have, the less they have, and that's just how corruption works. So I think we do need to take a look at how politics work, and is democracy really what we believe? However, until we get there, I saw a light in Bernie Sanders, and it's funny because this has happened so many times in American history, and yet we believe it's dead. This corruption in our politics, this willingness to confront it, whether it be through marches or protests, or voicing our opinions via the dollar. We need to figure out how best to beat this demon, because Hillary Clinton is to continue the demon. The only light at the end of the tunnel is Bernie Sanders and his campaign. It's grassroots, it's funded by the people. He has raised millions and millions because people like you and I believe in him, and because he shows that he believes in us. If we actually want a president who's going to be for the people, to pass laws that affect us in our daily lives, to help alleviate the stresses and the privacy invasions, and to show hardworking Americans that you will be rewarded for your hard work. Honestly, isn't that what we all want? If you take away all the fighting and the struggle, on a human basis, don't we just want to be rewarded for putting in the effort? Don't we just want to be acknowledged for the effort that we do put in? I mean, that's all this really is. You have black people fighting to be acknowledged as equal Americans. Same with gays and women. We have all of these individual fights taking place. We need to unite. And to unite would be to vote for somebody who has all of our interests at heart. We need to start thinking about this for real. We need to stop talking about how Clinton needs to take the office because she has a vagina. Yes, it would be awesome to get a female in the White House. I am the biggest proponent for getting a female in the White House. I do believe that if we nominate Bernie Sanders, he may look at getting people like Elizabeth Warren or Ruth Bader Ginsburg spotlighted, and maybe we can get more ball-busting women who have the bravado to take on these awful men and their awful policies that are based solely on fossil fuels and the production of oil-based money. We need to move on. We need to start something new, and everybody feels it. We're just unsure of what direction to follow. And just for my moral conscience, I want to make this video to help promote the Sanders campaign. I feel like every little bit of work we do to help promote him and to shed the truth on what politicians that he's facing are really like, whether it be stuff people want to talk about or not, it needs to be discussed. People need to face the reality of what these candidates actually stand for, and we need to get real discussions going. Because if we want a better America, we need to create it. We can't just sit back idly by and wait for these people of power to do something in our best interest, because we're going to be stifled. And we don't want that. So let's work together, get a conversation going in comments below. I'm definitely curious to hear all perspectives, and let's try to keep it as civil as possible. We all know that we get heated over this because it's dealing with our lives, and we don't want to entrust our lives to just anybody, and that's what these discussions are for. So continue to research, take care of yourself for the rest of the day, and really pay attention to who you want to give your support to. Hashtag feel the burn if you know what I'm saying. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.